Another episode brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook and app. Deke. Not only is it safe, baby, but it's secure and reliable. And for all the first-time users out there, if they use the promo code MOATS, they'll receive up to $1,000 in deposit bonus money. That's a lot of deposit bonus money. You know that, right?
Yeah, that's definitely a fair amount.
That's a good amount of money. Good amount of money. So, with that being said, download the app, use the promo code, and you can get an opportunity. Because that's all you want is an opportunity to make that money, baby. That's it. Download the app, use the promo code, get the opportunity, baby. But we also had major news. Like you said, when we recorded Wednesday, this literally dropped. It was either Wednesday afternoon or Thursday.
I can't remember.
I want to say it was Thursday because I believe I was coming back from my other radio show.
Okay.
So it was Thursday afternoon. And yeah, Dwayne Haskins, 15th overall pick in the 2018 draft, 2 years ago, to the Washington football team, was obviously released. And then from there, we brought him in on a visit Thursday, worked out a deal with him and got it signed. Now, I do like how initially the number said like 2 for $30 million, but it turned out it was a misprint. It wasn't the case.
Oh, what was the contract? I haven't even seen the numbers.
Yeah. From everything that I've heard, it's I want to say a 2 for 3 or 3.
Oh, it's actually a 2-year deal.
Yeah,
I only thought it was one.
I thought when I saw it was 2 years, but I'm gonna check again. But I know the first year is basically is rookie man is like 8, whatever his minimum was supposed to be. Like that's what that is. But I'm waiting to get the full like official details. But that's what I've been hearing though. Okay. So yeah, but either way, it was super low risk, high reward type signing.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously I put out an initial reaction to it, and then more so thinking about it now that I've had a chance to deep dive and watch some film on him. Obviously I have a film breakdown coming up later, but from everything I saw, man, I think he's very talented. I think that he moves a lot better than people give him credit for. I saw that a lot on tape. I think to me, the biggest things that he struggled with, number one, and this is a kind of a combination of that Washington offensive line, because you got to think he was sacked, I think 22 times in 6 games. And then Alex Smith was sacked 29 times in 6 games. So sometimes I feel like he does a little bit too much hero ball in terms of trying to extend plays, or he feels that pressure sometimes a little bit sooner than is actually there. And instead of him just taking his time and saying, okay, I'm anticipating this out coming open, let's get this throw. It's more so, all right, 1,001, 1,002, man, this rush about to be here. Now, the majority of the time it is there, but it's still sometimes where you could just see, because of the accumulation of the hits, he's getting a little antsy back there. And like I said, that's, I feel like, a big product of that offensive line. We talked about Ben. Ben was sacked 10 times last year. This dude was sacked 20 times in 6 games. Like, that's a large number. That doesn't even count how many times I saw him get hit. But the other thing that I thought that he struggled with as well, on some of his throws downfield, predetermining them. In terms of, all right, we drop a concept, and on paper, this concept is perfect. On paper versus this coverage as well, this concept is supposed to work. But just because it's supposed to work, that doesn't account for if you as a defender do something different, right? So You're supposed to be in the flat as a defender, but instead you sink off of that flat and you go ahead and play on a deep out route. To me, when I watch him,
say the defender's doing that on purpose or accident,
right?
It just doesn't matter.
Either way, every time, like, it's because he had a good. I want to say he had. I got to look at the turnovers, but I want to say it was 4 turnovers in his last 2 weeks, and literally 3 of them were predetermined throws, and the 4th one was a tip pass. But literally, you could just see. And it's cover 3. I don't know why, but it could have just been the 2 teams who was playing. Obviously, the Seahawks, they run a ton of cover 3, and they played cover 3 90% of the time. We play man 90% of the time. They were in cover 3 like that. And literally, the 2 picks that he had were on over routes, cover 3. It should be there. In theory, everything should work out. But literally, one play, you get the curl flat defender. He says, I'm going to play high to low. Instead of going down and taking his man right now, like how we do in Pittsburgh, he just sits back. Haskins never sees him, hits him right in the face. Then you got the other time where it's like, all right, deep over route, vertical route first. So technically, because it's, you got one guy going down the field in cover 3, the corner should run with him. He stops, he comes back, over route, hits him right in the head. Like, that's the type of stuff where you could just see on paper the concept. Like, if I'm drawing up how to beat a coverage, these are the routes. Yeah. This is how it should work. This is where you should go. But just because you should go there doesn't mean it's there. And that's the biggest thing that, for me, what I saw with him, it was just predetermined. And I don't know because obviously I'm not, part of that Washington organization. I don't know their coaching techniques and things like that. But to me, that was the biggest issue that I saw with him on tape. I thought he moved well. I thought he could make every throw, and he did that. I thought his footwork was sloppy at times as well. Footwork was definitely sloppy at times, but I think when you're that talented, you kind of run into that a little bit. It looks just like he knows he's very gifted, but I don't know that coaching situation over there, if they got on him enough to keep the structure. But also when you think about two different organizations,
the turnover in your turnover, 2 years. Yeah.
So it's like, I don't think that either party really invested in him like that. And I think that was the biggest reason why, even when he was out there, you could just see like he's playing well at times, but it doesn't look like they coach him enough on this stuff, because even though he would correct this issue, you could just see like, well, you never got the root of this. And that's why it keeps popping up. And I just think here in Pittsburgh, it's a lot more structure around him. Way more structure. And I just think this is going to be a better situation for him. So that's why I was optimistic about it, and even more optimistic now. But it's still no guarantee that he's going to ball out, because if he doesn't get those things fixed, it doesn't matter where you're playing. It doesn't matter the weapons around you. I think this is a better situation for him, because he has, like I said, way better offensive line. Even as bad as our offensive line was, they're still way better than, dude. Washington gonna get somebody killed. I'm serious, man. It didn't matter if it was Alex Smith. It didn't matter if it was Dwayne Haskins. It didn't matter when they went to Tyler Heineke. All of those guys, they were under duress, man. Like it's crazy to think that that's the product they were putting out there on the offensive line. Like,
they made the playoffs.
Right. But literally, bro, this offensive line, I think they gave up close to 60 sacks. Like, no exaggeration. Like, crazy numbers. That should never happen. Like, so when you talk about, like, when we're evaluating him, just understand, like, that's just in 1 year. We're not even talking last year. We're just talking this year. That's a lot of times, man, to get hit. That's a lot of pressure to be under with that offensive line the way it is, man.
Yeah, I'm definitely with you. I thought it was a good move. Definitely low risk, potential high reward. Yeah. And I actually watched your video. You brought up a good point too, where how often are we going to be picking in the top 15 and being able to get it?
Right? Without having to trade up and use our resources. I mean, we said Devin Bush, we traded up for him. Traded up for, was it Troy? And then I think the last organic version was, it was Ben. Definitely, Ben.
Ben at 11. Yeah. I don't know if we've even picked higher than that. Pouncey was maybe around the teens.
Plaxico Burress. He was the only top 10 pick that we've had. I think they said it was like since the 80s or something, man. It was like something just crazy. We
had 3 or 4 8-8 seasons, and that's still probably in the high teens whenever you're picking. Mm-hmm. So I'm definitely with you.
The back-to-back 8 and 8 years, we took what? Shazier, because Shazier was the 14 year. I forgot who was the year before that. Was that Cam? Maybe.
Yeah,
it would have been. He was in the mix. He was the last pick of the first round as well. So we don't pick organically. That's what we're saying, because we talked about how rare it happens for us to trade up, but just even organically, we don't get a lot of opportunities to even touch a guy that talented
on a minimum contract,
right? Too. And that's the thing. It's like, for crumbs, like, we were raving about Deshaun Watson, but like, it's like you see the talent that he has. Difference between him and Watson. I mean, I think somebody told me this. They were saying he's like the poor man version, the great value version of a Deshaun Watson. And it's like you see little similarities, but that's the biggest difference is Deshaun plays to his full capabilities. But I think Deshaun is a more disciplined player, not even off the field, because I feel like that narrative is kind of getting. I mean, bro,
Vince Williams with the tweet.
Like we literally go from my man went to his girlfriend's birthday party at a strip club to character issues, maturity issues, bad lead. I'm like, bro, what? Like, my man is 23, living in his hometown in the second season. Like, what are we talking about here? Like, I can assure you, we've all done a lot worse. For a fact, I've done worse than that. If that's a character issue, then I should have been fired a long time ago. Y'all should have never voted me Walt Pittman Man of the Year in multiple locations, because if that is enough to be a character issue, if that's enough, oh my God, that's all I'm saying, man. Oh my God. So I just feel like that narrative has definitely been a little bit, they pushed out a little bit too much, a little bit of an overreaction from that standpoint, man. But yeah, the biggest thing, like we talk about him being released, I don't think it was talent based. I just don't think that he got caught. It was similar to Josh Rosen. You got caught with an organization that when they drafted you, it was already in the middle of turnover. And then the following year, they turned it over again. And we all know even at quarterback, when they went with it was Kyle Allen they went with initially. Kyle Allen had already started for Ron Rivera down in Carolina. He was the biggest reason why he brought him from Carolina with him. So you could just see the scenarios surrounding him in terms of why they weren't going to be as invested as you would typically think with a top 15 guy. Less about his talent, because when you watch him, and this isn't a knock on any quarterback that we have, but talent-wise, at this stage, he is the most talented. Not the best quarterback on the Steelers roster. Best quarterback still right now is Big Ben. But in terms of the most talented, Haskins can run. He can make every throw. Like, he has all the intangibles. But talent without productivity, it doesn't matter. Talent without the hard work, it doesn't matter. Talent without the attention to detail is not going to matter. But I do think with him under Coach T, who specializes in details, literally, I never heard someone talk about the details so much until I got to Pittsburgh. I just think that is going to help him out a ton, man.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And I've been on record, saying, man, I hope Ben comes back for 2 or 3 more years. But, if he decides to retire after next year, we got a top 15 talent that maybe is in competition between him and Mason for a starting role. And you could kind of figure it out as you go. Do you like Haskins in-house throughout the season where you don't have to draft a guy next year? Or even if it's Mason, whatever it is. I just think, like you said, it's just really low risk, potential high reward. I just don't see any downside to it. The contract isn't egregious at all. It's $1 million contract, whatever it is.
Crumbs. Yeah.
And best case scenario for him and Steelers organization in 10 or 15 years, he could be some type of successor.
Yeah, if he balls out, like imagine if he lives up to that 15th overall pick. Regardless if y'all felt like he should have went there or not, some people felt he should have went earlier to the Giants. Some people felt like, oh man, maybe he should have went a little bit later. You can make that debate. The talent is undebatable. The talent, you can see that. To me, having that type of talent in the facility is huge because we take away Ben, right? We're not even worried about Ben this year or next year. But what it does for Mason, if they truly believe Mason is their guy, that's going to push Mason a lot harder now. Because who is he really? Yeah,
it's either way. Like if Mason's really your guy, like he can beat out Haskins.
And it'll show. And if you beat out Haskins, that's great. Yeah, if you beat out Haskins, that's a great scenario. You could say, hey, I beat out a top 15 quarterback, or at least talent-wise, right? Top 15 draft pick. I'm nice. I believe in me. The team believes in me. We go from there. But if not, and Haskins beats him out and he lives up to the 15th overall pick, well, it's like, shoot, we're winning there as well. Yeah. And you're going to have him still on a cheap deal for at least the next 2 years. You know what I mean? Or because even if it was a 1 year deal, right? And whatever that contract is, we already know it's going to be low, $1 million best, right? We know super low. The following year, you're still going to get him on a cheap deal if you wanted to extend him because he hasn't started. It sounds as much as you love him, it's like, you don't have to take right here, so we don't have to pay you like that anymore. So either way, I feel like the Steelers, this is a win-win for them, man.
No, 100%, dude. And like you said, for Haskins' career even, it's a win too because you get under the Steelers organization, the Steelers structure. Even if you don't play, I feel like that's only going to help you, though, for your career. And
we talked about with the Jameis, right, from a branding standpoint.
Yeah.
You're part of this organization. You just keep your head clean, stay out of trouble. You'll be fine. You're going to get an opportunity. You'll be good, man.